This is Montego Bradley from Fans of Patrol, and you're listening to the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people. Right. You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
Pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Royale with cheese. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you are listening to Superhero Speak. And I'm your host Dave.
And I'm old.
And I have gout.
Oh man, we are in such good shape right now.
I'm not that old. What the heck?
But you're talking like that, and you've got the gout. I mean, jeez.
Well, I'm from Chicago, so that just kind of.
Oh, okay. Well,
were you eating shellfish while you were in Washington?
No. As a matter of fact, I was not. It's apparently, talking to my doctor, it's more of a genetic thing than it is just a what you eat thing, because I don't drink much, and I'm not into organ meats or anything like that, or shellfish. I just have crappy genes. Thanks, Dad.
Well, that sucks. I mean, if you can't have the enjoyment of shellfish giving you gout, then what's the point?
I don't mind shellfish. I just don't eat a lot of it. I live in the Chicagoland area. There's not a lot of prevalent shellfish.
Right, but you were in Washington this past week.
Yeah, Spokane. That's like almost Montana.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's way on the East Coast, if you will, of Washington, East Side. It's in the forest. It's really nice. Spokane's an awesome town.
Gout is a form of inflammatory arthritis that develops in some people of high levels of uric acid in the blood. The acid can form needle-like crystals. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of it. That sucks.
Hurts like a bitch, dude.
Needle-like crystals. Jesus, I mean, yikes.
Well, for our fans who haven't tuned out yet, why don't you tell the good people what you were doing in Spokane?
Oh, so I was coaching the Illinois 16U, that's 1600, national dual team. We were in a tournament. I did not think we had our best team ever this year. We managed to take second. We lost to Minnesota's best team ever. It came down to the last match. It was super exciting. Our little engines that could just got beat. So, hey, it was a good week.
They did their best, right?
No,
Second place isn't bad.
No, it's not. I mean, we won. We took first last year, second the year before, first the year before. So it's between us and Minnesota usually. And I didn't think we were going to do that well. To be quite honest with you, I didn't think our talent level was as high as it was in years past. But they proved me wrong. So I enjoy that.
Damn, that's quite a record too.
We've won. It's like 8 of the last 13 years. I think we've won 8. So, yeah.
Jeez,
we do a good job.
Cool. Well, congrats.
Thanks.
And John and I had some fun this weekend. Well, I guess it depends on how you define fun.
How was the con?
Okay.
I saw negative stuff online. That's why I'm curious.
Well, and not from us, right? I mean,
no, not from you guys. From just random accounts on Twitter.
Okay, so all rumors aside that we've heard, and we talked to a lot of people, and Dave, I talked to a lot of people on Saturday when you weren't there. So, let's just go with some of the facts that I know of. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've only been going for the last 3 years. 4 years now. 2016 was my first time. So 3 years. Okay. And every year I've seen it, every year I've been there, it's been half the size of the year before. And I think, Dave, what you said was that, like, there were even better years before that.
Okay, so it was confirmed to me today that it was their 19th one in Philly. And I have been to every single one that they've had. And if you go back, I want to say 10 to 15 years ago, like, it was on its way to rival Chicago and San Diego at one point. You know, like, they had all the big publishers there with booths set up, and it was the entire first or second floor of the Pennsylvania Convention Center, and they even had a bunch of halls downstairs where they had stuff going on, and it was huge. I remember I volunteered one year, and I was doing line control for the people coming in, and there was a line around the block, and then we had another line queued upstairs in a hall. So it was like insane the amount of people coming. And then this year, John?
Yeah, so this year it was, maybe the same size as the Great Philly Comic Con, maybe even a little bit smaller, I think. Probably about the same size. I have to say, I've had time to think about it now. But the problem with that is that Great Philly Comic Con is growing every year that I've been there, and Wizard World went from my first year there. There was red carpet everywhere. They had the entire hall. Like you said, there were things going on in the other halls, and you walked in and you were overwhelmed, and there was sound everywhere. There's people everywhere. It was like walking into an 8-ring circus, and it was quite amazing. And I had been away from cons for over a decade and a half, and that being my first one back, I was just overwhelmed. And now seeing it like this is like, I mean, the crowds weren't that. There was a crowd there on Saturday, but from what I understand, and again, I'm just going with facts, everybody who was north of the talent area, they weren't getting enough traffic.
Yeah. So, okay. We'll put this out there. There was a rumor that I heard before the show started.
I am very reticent to put out rumors.
Well, but we do it all the time. Anyway, we're talking about movies and who's going to be in what.
Not about your mom. Those are different.
Oh, I can't.
For real?
I can't fault you for that. There was a rumor before the show started that I actually heard from a group of people who normally volunteer at the show, that this was going to be the last Wizard World Philly. And when I got there, I'm like, wow, this really looks like it could be the last year. It's, the hall is they only used half the hall, and what they did have was spread out to make it look fuller.
There was a lot of empty space. And even more telling, there were tables there that were empty, and when artists and whoever were next to those tables asked, they were told that they could just take those tables, which meant that there's no waiting list for any of the tables either.
Yes. However,
and again, just facts. That's what we know.
However, this is also a fact, because I know you don't read your email, John, but we got our typical thank you for coming email from Wizard this afternoon.
I did see that from Jerry Milani too.
Yes, and it said that they would be returning next year from June 11th through the 14th.
And we did hear from somebody on the floor that they had rented it out for the next year as well.
Yes. So it wasn't the last one, but we don't know where it's going because it does get smaller every year.
Now, a lot of the people I talked to on Saturday, I mean, everybody's got a theory, of course. And some of them are attributing it to basically there are just too many cons now, and they're all leeching off of each other. Although Wizard World is kind of in the middle, and like this would be a good con to go to before the fall cons, and I would think that maybe Keystone Con would be the one that would be having trouble because it's so close to the New York Comic Con.
Well, that's why they moved it up to August this year. Last year it was like right before New York Comic Con. This year it's in a couple months before.
But that's still like, I mean, what else would leech off of Wizard World? So,
okay.
I mean,
all right. So the show is small. I can tell you, things that I know that go on behind the scenes of, probably why this show is doing as bad as it's doing. But I don't know if you would get scared, John.
Well, no, it's just, I would just want to, I want to just go with facts, that we've heard a lot of rumors. I've said this of different things. So.
I've said this about Wizard before. They went from doing 3 to 4 shows when the magazine was around to trying to do 10 shows right away across the country, and part of the problem is when they bring in artists and celebrities, they try to get them to sign up to do multiple of those shows. And so a lot of artists are like, no, like I would want to do Philly, I'd want to do Chicago, but I don't want to do, these other shows. And then Wizard, keeps trying to push them into doing the shows. I mean,
and the tables are supposedly expensive as well.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true with any show. So I think that's part of the problem is that I think they need to cut back and just concentrate on doing 3 or 4 really good big shows, and they could probably get the talent and the artists to agree to do those as opposed to trying to do 10 shows.
So you can't expect the vendors or the exhibitors. I mean, the vendors and exhibitors are usually somewhat territorial, right? So you can't expect them to sign up for shows on each end of the states. It might not be worth their while.
No, I'm not talking. I mean, number one, I don't think it's a vendor issue. I think they can get vendors in a couple of the big markets, but there are also vendors who do go to every show. I mean, Stylin' Online, I remember where they're located, but I've seen them at a lot of shows. They're a big enough vendor, where they'll travel. There have been vendors at Wizard who've come from the West Coast to come out to do the show in Philly.
Yeah, I did meet a few exhibitors that were there with like that too.
Yeah. So we don't know. We'll keep watching Wizard and see where it goes, but it's kind of sad. I've been going since it launched basically, and to see where it's at now brings a tear to my eye.
That said, while we were there, again, thanks to Jerry Milani, we managed to get a few minutes with Kevin Conroy. And we also talked with, and I should have had my notes up for this, but we also talked with HB Comics, which are friends of Dave's, right?
Yes.
And there we go. And we also talked to Jeremy Clark, who is an artist who has worked with Zenoscope and SourcePoint Press and a few others. I think I forget if he did any DC or Marvel. He probably did, but he was a pretty big artist. And then we also talked to Michael Delangelo, who wrote a couple of books, a series of books called Tellist. Who now we're trying to go for the weird or the very interesting interviews now. And this guy basically is a one-man economic powerhouse. He wrote some books, then he created a card game, then he got a bunch of artists, and they're putting out art for this world, and now they're doing a video game. So we're just waiting to hear about the movie, the LARP, and the escape room. I mean, it's really interesting, and we got to talk to him for quite a little bit too. So you'll be hearing these interviews coming up at some point or another in the next week or so, a couple of weeks.
Cool.
Depending on when Dave puts them out.
Did you guys do anything else fun this weekend? See any movies?
No, I had gout.
Well, I actually ended up going to see Men in Black International.
How's that?
I'm trying to think how to put this without really spoiling the movie.
Just say good, bad, or ugly. I mean, good, bad, or MIB 2 or 3.
It's I liked it. It's good. I mean, it's of course not Henry Cavill. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Chris Hemsworth and the woman who plays Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson.
Thank you. Playing the main two roles. It follows. The problem, I think, is they tried to use a lot of the same formula from the very first Men in Black. They turned some of it on its head, but a lot of it was kind of rehash. And it's like, okay. You know? I mean, I liked it. My wife kind of got bored halfway through the movie. My son liked it. My brother liked it. So 3 out of 4. That's not bad. Yeah, I recommend people go see it. If you like Chris Hemsworth and his comedy, and you want to see Tessa Thompson also do a comedic role, I think it's worth going to see for that. There's no after credit teaser. There is no real setup for the next one, but obviously, if it does well, there will be a next one.
Is it a sequel? Is it a restart?
It is
tangentially.
It's a sequel, from what I heard.
Yes, it's a tangential sequel where it takes place in the same world as Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith's characters. There's even a mention of them in the movie, but it's totally different characters. It's the London branch of MIB where a lot of it takes place. So that is something like they expand upon the world from the movie. So now you find out there's branches all around the world.
And I heard there was like a tribute to Zed too. Wasn't there like some kind of plaque or something in the movie for Zed? Or
there may have been. I don't remember that, but there probably was. There was a bunch of plaques, and that's where the mention of the other characters was. So
cool.
So yeah. So I think I would give it. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. So.
Great. I'd consider it a 9 then, probably.
I mean, there's nothing really new in it. Like, we've seen a lot of these ideas already in the other 3 movies. There's no time travel, thank God.
Ugh.
And,
away from that as possible.
The only thing is, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe people, you can see the end coming. So, at least I thought you could, so.
I think we see the end coming every day. Sorry.
All right.
You were the gout talking.
So
some surly. You're gonna get a surly JD on this show.
Yes. So then that means we got to get to your favorite part of the show.
Hey.
Social media madness.
I'm out. That's it.
So we had talked about wrestling last time you were on the show, JD, about wrestling being a grift, as you put it. And
wait, wrestling's a grift?
John also doesn't listen to shows he's not a part of.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't listen to the shows he's part of either. So
you think I want to hear the sound of my own voice?
He doesn't He doesn't even listen when we're talking to him right now.
Fair enough.
So Lord Happy Pants said, "It's good for the kids. That's it."
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That dude doesn't watch wrestling, so it's fine.
And then the Gorilla Brain podcast had replied with a GIF. It's still real to me, damn it.
But it's like the whole point of the show was just like that it's not real. We talk about the grift part of it. And how, never mind. So.
Yes, people need to listen to the episode to understand the point you were getting at.
Right. Superheroes aren't real either. Shocking though it may be.
The other thing was, I don't know how to put this. We had this. We didn't get a lot of comments, but we got quite a few comments of people who said they didn't even want to listen to the episode because of who the guest was. Aubrey Sitterson, who was the winner of Nerd Madness, people. Apparently he's a bit of a controversial character on Twitter.
I have takes, but continue.
In fact, usually not here said, because I said, this is quickly becoming one of our most controversial episodes ever. And he said, that's the one with Aubrey Sitterson, right? He is kind of a magnet for drama. I mostly know him from the G.I. Joe controversy.
Where he got fired because of... All right, let's do this. So, Aubrey, we didn't talk about this on the show because he asked not to, and I was cool with it because I'm all for moving forward with things. But people who... Let's be real. Aubrey Sitterson was probably one of the first victims of Comicsgate. Like, Aubrey, on the anniversary of 9/11, put out a tweet that was probably not as well worded as it probably could have been, but I get what he meant. Is like he was crapping on people who self-aggrandized the tragedy, who like, oh man, remember 9/11 when it was such an emotional thing for me and da-da-da-da-da. And it was just, it's false sincerity was what he was coming down on. Because he lived in Lower Manhattan at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, he was in college and he experienced it firsthand. And he thought that a lot of people were, and this isn't just 9/11. How many people take the time to take a national tragedy and use it to talk about themselves?
Like all the time.
Right.
That's
the Facebook icon where, so and so marked himself safe in this tragedy. I mean, like, it's more of a look at me culture, which is what Aubrey was talking about. In 140 characters, you don't get the best take in the world. But I get where he was coming from. Like, Bleeding Cool used the perfect icon, which was Smash Mouth, remembers 9/11, which is just it's crazy. It's monetization and self-aggrandization of tragedy. And he spoke out against that, and boy, did people come down on him. Like, he really became a bit of a firestorm. People like he was, disrespected the troops and was pro 9/11, and like. What basically is the people on these G.I. Joe message boards, who I remember Andy Schmidt back in the day telling me that they were crazy to begin with when he was editing the book, didn't like Aubrey's take on G.I. Joe. The Aubrey's a little bit more my age, so he wasn't as influenced by the Larry Hama books, but was influenced by the Sunbow cartoon show, which was silly and goofy. So his take on G.I. Joe was more akin to that. And Aubrey, I'm pretty left. Aubrey's further left of me. Like, he's a self-admitted socialist. So there were people who did not like him. In fact, Richard Mayer pretty much made his mark on taking Aubrey Sitterson to task, basically because he had his dream job and he couldn't get it. So people made a big stir, and my friend got fired from a book that he wanted to write, and it really hurt him. It cost him time and money. So, if the point was to shame a guy publicly, well, it worked. They did it. He lost work because of it and is trying to rebuild his career. So that's kind of what it is. And I'm not a fan. I'm not in because the Comicsgate guys used that to launch their entire platform. And when Aubrey went silent, then they went after other people who drank milkshakes and whatnot. So
that whole milkshake thing was stupid.
The whole thing is stupid.
But the funny thing is, like, I totally got his point. To me, it's the same thing as it's June, right? So it's Pride Month. And every fucking company on the internet changes their logo to have a rainbow behind it.
Right, because it makes money. It has nothing to do with supporting gay rights.
Exactly. They don't care. They don't give a crap about gay rights. It's about oh, look at our public profile and what we're saying. And it's just like, dude, shut up. You know? Like,
yep. Hey, I'm a pro wrestling fan, right? WWE did the same thing. They're all on pride this, pride that. Yet they just ran a show in Saudi Arabia where you're going to get executed.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's all corporate BS. And he called them out on it. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that people didn't like that he was on G.I. Joe. But you get the internet hate machine, rabble-rousing. Mm-hmm. Now this guy's got a bad reputation. Because he didn't just allow people to trash talk him. He talked back. It's like any one of us would.
It's funny because, no, it's okay. It's good that you're just get it all out, man. But Full Frontal with Samantha Bee last week just actually did rag on the same thing about the Pride Month, where they were talking about how all these companies are like, yes, it's Pride Month, brought to you by Dove soap. It's the whole crap. And this comic skate thing, it's still going. Jeez, why? I mean,
wait a minute. If I disagree with Samantha Bee, I might have to change my stance. Let's put rainbows on everything. So.
Say, no,
I'm kidding.
No, it's okay. It's just Comicsgate just pisses me off too.
Well, it's almost a dead movement. It's a shell of what it was at its peak. It sold a bunch of Indiegogo campaigns and made some comics that, whatever, they aren't for me, so I don't really care. But like I said, when it hurt people, and that's what bugs me.
No, the problem with something like I've always said stuff like this. The problem with stuff like Comicsgate is it quickly stops becoming about whatever started it, and people use it to commercialize and jump bandwagon and do whatever afterwards.
Comicsgate was bad right from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was never about anything good. It was always about taking people down that didn't that the right didn't
I don't
agree
know.
with.
See, that's the whole thing. Is like, it started by people not liking the direction of some of the comics that they were fans of, with some people with legitimate concerns, and then people jump on that and bandwagon, and it becomes Comicsgate.
The second it became Comicsgate, now I understand that I don't love every comic that's published, and you can have legitimate concerns about things. That's fine. That's consumerism, right? Vote with your dollar. I'm all for that.
Right, exactly.
But the second you tie yourself to Gamergate, which was the forefather, then you're just pure evil. Gamergate wasn't about ethics in gaming journalism. Gamergate was about making sure that one chick got a verbal whooping online. Yeah. That's what that was about. That was about making sure that people are subservient. That's what Gamergate was all about. And Comicsgate embraced that wholeheartedly. They said they went after anyone who didn't like them. Anybody. And now it's just a shell of itself.
Speaking of things that people don't like, we had talked about the Batwoman trailer on the CW at some point, and
I don't even remember doing that.
The handle is at Hizzard the Wizard. I can't read because it's some kind of fancy writing. My honest opinion, the CW sucks. I'm sure the new Batwoman looks nice and all that, but the writing will just be like Arrow, just like Flash, just like Supernatural and all the other CW shows. I like the writing on Flash.
Unlike the writing in this tweet, which is...
Yeah.
I like most of Arrow. The one show he left out that I would have agreed upon was Supergirl.
Yeah, the writing on that show has actually gotten better this season.
No,
but
it hasn't. No, that show shouldn't be on the air.
No, it's gotten better, but it's still up and down.
No,
it is the worst of all of them, I would say. But then Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, that's a fun show.
Right, and that's not supposed to be serious either, I don't think.
Right, but it wouldn't be so fun, in its genre if the writers weren't good. So the writing on that I consider very good.
Matt the Pharaoh Wizard said, "I think it looked really cool. I am excited for it."
Yeah, me too.
Wow. positivity online. That's weird.
And Kevin Glennon said, nice that they gave her a utility belt with only one pouch that looks like it can hold a iPhone 8. Not an iPhone X. That wouldn't fit.
Oh, jeez.
Of all the things we can go to war about, like
I'm sorry, that's a true nerd comment though, because it's like, yeah, wait a minute, what's she gonna hold in that utility belt?
I don't man.
She's so badass she doesn't need smoke bombs.
I'm just wondering where the lines in the sand are drawn. I just find these things interesting, and at what point it loses you. Like the small utility belt was the straw that broke the camel's back with this guy. It's humorous to me.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I also love in the '60s TV show, and there's you can find supercuts of stuff like this online, where like Robin pulls this thing out. He's supposed to be pulling it out of his utility belt from under his cape, and it's like a giant shield. And it's like, wait, where did that come from?
Bigger on the inside.
Yes.
That's it. Batman and Robin, Time Lords confirmed.
So we also had said that with our Aubrey episode, have you ever dreamed of winning Nerd Madness and being a guest on Superhero Speak? No? Well, our guest, Aubrey Sitterson, did for some reason. And Al Vizcardi replied, have you ever dreamed of winning Nerd Madness and being a guest on Superhero Speak? Yes. So,
can we extend the invitation? I don't know what he does, but that intrigues me.
Al, let us know what you work on, and we'll make sure we get in the rotation for next year.
I would have thought that would have been more of a nightmare, but sure, okay.
You're not helping promoting the show.
To each their own.
And then this finally, of course, in the United States, over the past weekend, was Father's Day. And we had a treat given to us by the people at Marvel. And I'm going to read them now. Marvel superhero dad jokes. So guys, what do you call a really big ant?
I don't know.
A giant.
Wow.
Okay, that's enough.
What is a superhero's?
No.
What is a superhero's favorite part of a joke?
No, Dave. No.
Go on.
The punchline.
Don't go on.
I'd like to talk about my relationship with my sons, but it's a Thor subject.
How's that dream now, Al? What are you thinking now?
And finally, last but not least, what does an android get when he's hungry?
I would have said a bit, but then I'm a, alpha geek, so.
Well, no, this one was a bite to eat instead of a bit to eat.
Well, that's because it's American portions.
Yes, there you go. So thank you,
and
Marvel.
Only computer geeks are going to get that.
You're right. I didn't get that meant at all.
One bite is 8
to a
bits,
bite.
and I know explaining it ruins it, but okay.
So I'll take the explanation. What does that mean?
One byte is 8 bits, is made up of 8 bits.
Oh.
So American portions.
Oh, that was actually a pretty good joke, John.
Yeah, it was. Except I had to explain it.
I got to do it to get it. Don't play. I mean, hey, I'm not going to fault you for me being a dumbass.
I'll take things only I know for 800, Alex. Okay.
Hey, wait, I knew it.
Oh yeah, you have an excuse. You're a DB admin.
All right. So, speaking of social media madness, we can't forget to shout out our buddies on the Geek All-Stars. This is a mouthful. Geek World All-Star Podcast Network. Oh, try to say that 5 times fast, guys.
There's neither the word mutant nor teenage in there.
Which includes the Power Pop Prism Podcast, So Wizard, Cult 45, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, us, and I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Fanzo Patrol. And I think that's it. How many did I say? Who did I forget?
All of them, probably. I don't know. There's no master list.
I don't have it. I don't have it in my notes in front of me. That's the problem.
I'm sure you did just fine.
Yes. Don't worry, Dave. Whoever you forgot, they'll remind you.
Oh, I'm sure.
And now we'll have material for next week's Social Media Madness.
Excellent. Moving on to news.
I feel like we need like music bumpers when we switch subjects, like a something like that.
Okay, maybe not that, but
well, I'm not a music guy. I'm an idea guy. Some suck, but they're ideas.
No, the bumper thing is interesting. I could get behind that, definitely.
And while you're at it, don't forget to check out our new favorite podcast listener, Podcoin. And you can download it on the App Store or the Google Play Store. And Podcoin is the podcast listener that pays you to listen to podcasts.
Because it's the only way you'll listen to us.
You earn Podcoins for every podcast that you listen to. And then
my wife would agree.
You can trade in... You can trade in your Podcoins for gift cards for such stores as Amazon, Starbucks, and Dunkin' Donuts. Or if you're a good person, unlike us, you can trade them in to use towards charity, to give money to charity. So check it out. It's Podcoin. Oh, and if you use our offer code, HeroSpeak, you'll get 300 Podcoins just for signing up. So don't forget to check us out on Podcoin. So, all right.
Starbucks gift certificates can buy plenty of those Rice Krispie treats that they have there that are so good.
Huh. I've never had one of theirs.
They're really good. I had one at the airport this week, and it made my day.
Oh, is that what gave you gout?
It wasn't helping.
All right. Let's move on into news. Marvel has released a cryptic tweet that has got lots of nerds talking online. The tweet was just an image of a webbed 4.
They followed it up today with an image of a webbed 3.
Oh, did they?
They did.
So it's a countdown. Interesting.
It is.
All right.
I was hoping it was Spider-Man Fantastic Four, but
well, no. The initial guesses were that there was a rumor they were going to take the Sam Raimi script for Spider-Man 4 that was never made and turn it into a comic.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Good news is he couldn't dance.
Yeah.
Might have saved it.
Well, this was boosted by the fact that Alex Ross replied to the tweet with a piece of artwork that he had done for the Spider-Man Raimi Spider-Man movies. So that, of course, got a lot of people talking. But since they released that 3 today, it does look like they're counting down to something.
But he deleted a tweet, too, in response. So they probably told him not to do that. So Alex Ross probably freewheeling.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was there's this mini-series going on right now. It's the life story of Spider-Man. And each issue was a decade. So issue 1 was the 60s, issue 2 is the 70s, issue 3 is the 80s, and issue 2 is was just announced, or issue 4 was just announced, and that's going to be the 90s. So I thought it was a tie into that, but obviously no, because they're counting down to something. What could
probably
they be?
Just the next crossover, I'm guessing, the next big Spider event.
I don't know. Be interesting to see. As far as I know, there's nothing on the radar of a big crossover. So,
well, then let's go on to the next. Maybe the snap will. Maybe that's when the snap happens.
No, well, speaking of the snap, I had put a guess out in the earlier episode that maybe the snap is what's going to lead to mutants showing up in the MCU.
And you were kind of right.
And I was kind of right. Marvel will use Thanos' snap to introduce X-Men into the MCU.
Is that confirmed?
According to a source according to our source we might get our first hint at origins of mutants in the Eternals. The movie reportedly starring the likes of Angelina Jolie, blah, 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 will introduce I can't even read the...
Oh, Dave, you're horrible. Come on.
Eponymous
ancient race of the Immortals into the franchise. We got this covered. Has been told that the film will also reveal that the Eternals created the X gene. So,
I read that article too, and they're kind of right that they can't just say that the mutants always existed. They could have done it if they'd gone with an idea like yours, where the snap actually gave them their powers. This is kind of the same thing, but they're adding in that the Eternals were the ones that added the X gene, and it just got activated because of the snap. They might have to tweak that a bit because it seems a little bit too weird of an explanation. It doesn't really flow.
Like, that's my question too. Like, how do you guys feel about that idea? Like, to bring the X-Men in that way, because they're going to completely change, because the idea was, mutants have always been here, right? In the comics, just they got organized under Professor Xavier and the X-Men. But now it's like, well, no, there's something happened and created mutants. So how does Professor Xavier work into that, and the School for the Gifted, and how do you have a history between Professor Xavier and Magneto? Or does all that get thrown away?
Yeah, well, it has to be thrown away because Magneto wouldn't have been Magneto. And, and besides, we're at a point now where you can't have Magneto starting, in like World War II because he'd be too old at this point.
Can I be real? Like, I don't know if I trust this site. It seems very clickbaity.
Dude, doesn't.
Like, we got this covered? That doesn't, I don't know, is that like I don't know, man. I just, seems suspect.
Okay.
All right, so here we are, spreading rumors again.
That's what we do.
Awesome.
That's our show. We talk about rumors.
We are the rumor mill. I thought you knew that.
Well,
I'd
like to be near the top of the mill, not the one underwater. I mean,
I just like the idea that I was right. I mean, come on.
You could be right. I'm not saying you are. I just don't know if I trust the source.
Okay.
Fake news and all.
Let's face it, though. They're going to have to explain it. I mean, it's going to have to hinge on the snap somehow, because otherwise there's really no big there's no like interregnum, no event that would explain the sudden appearance of mutants.
Unless there's always been mutants, we just don't talk about them. Like if it's actually like remember when they did speak like the snap would basically be like the Wanda Whisperer. Like at that point there was like 199 mutants in the world, some ridiculous number like that. I forget what it was. Uh-huh. It could be like that now. There's less than 100 mutants in the world, and we just don't know about them. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall. I have no idea.
Okay, I mean, we could speculate. You're right.
That actually is a somewhat better idea, because you can't have even 25% of your population being mutants, because then it's like, right, why haven't they been more involved with stuff at this point, But if it's a small number of people who have powers, they just stay in the shadows because they want to be treated like regular people.
Right, and Charles Xavier could be operating the whole time and fixing things behind people's back and whatnot.
And using his mental abilities to make people forget they saw mutants.
Has that been done? That's a good idea. I like that. That was exciting. I like that. That would be something new.
And that would give it that he's had what's the machine again?
Cerebro.
He's had Cerebro all this time, and that's what he's been using to keep them under wraps.
I like that better than the snap.
Yeah. Actually, that would work too.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I watched Men in Black and they had the neuralizer. But
Yeah, jeez.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Greatest Deus Ex Machina of them all.
So is the snap. Like the snap is the definition of a Deus Ex Machina. Like, I just snapped this entire race of creatures into existence.
Yeah.
Like,
or
True.
I just snapped and opened up a rip in the multiverse.
yeah.
But the thing is that's a Deus Ex Machina that was paid for in blood. Like they worked for that.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, speaking of blood that was paid for with Snap, RDJ has come out and said he thinks Ironheart should be in the MCU.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't see a reason why not. I just don't know if the character is popular enough to, warrant it at this point.
Neither was Rocket Raccoon, and now we all love Bradley Cooper's rendition.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's
Listen,
true.
if they got if a writer director combo comes along with a sweet pitch, I'm all for it. But if you're just trying to do it just to have like another Iron Man, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, do something. If you have something to say, I'm cool with it. But if it's just we need an Iron Man,
That brings up an interesting point. It's actually something that's really bothering me about the previews for Far From Home. This concept of we need the next Iron Man. Like, why? Why can't he just be Spider-Man? Why can't we just have Thor and
Well, maybe that's the point of the movie. Maybe we'll see that.
I'm pretty sure John's right. I think there are a lot of people that are looking for the next Iron Man. I think this movie is literally going to be, we have enough. Like the corporate message will be, we have enough in the stable. You're good.
okay. God damn it. Saw right through that.
Okay, so what do we got next?
Speaking of having enough in the stable,
jeez.
Disneyland has announced they will be expanding to accommodate the Marvel characters, Marvel superheroes. So they're gonna they have obtained expansion of the Disney California Adventure, so they can add a brewery, a hotel, and something else. And then, of course, they're going to have a meet and greet area for the heroes, which is cool. I mean, obviously, they just launched Galaxy's Edge, which apparently everyone is going to. But from my understanding, that'll never happen in Florida. Because they signed this. No, there's a really weird contract with, what's the other, Universal Studios?
Yeah, Universal's got their Marvel Adventure Island or whatever it is over there.
And basically the contract is like forever. So they can have the rights to the characters. And in the contract, it states that no other park within so many miles can have the Marvel superhero characters running around that are included in this deal. And of course, Universal isn't that far from Disney World in Florida.
That is one of those crazy Faustian pacts that was signed in the late 90s to save the company.
Yes.
That you look back on years later and like, damn.
Yep.
Although they're missing a huge opportunity if they don't name that brewery after Thor.
Well, I'm sure they'll have Asgardian Ale there.
I'm amazed it took them this long to incorporate them into Disneyland, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There is a hotel coming for the Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe, in Florida, because they weren't part of the deal. So
nobody ever thought they'd be important enough.
No.
No. What are you going to do? Maybe you can go and
make money.
Make money. Mm. Well, maybe they can go and try to find the next Wolverine, and somebody has thrown his hat in the ring saying he would like to play him.
No.
And that is the one and only Jason Mamoa.
No.
I do not want dude bro Wolverine. I'm sorry.
Just no. You need, as impossible as this is going to be, they're going to need somebody with as much gravitas as huge jacked man.
Do we know that he doesn't have gravitas? Or is he just not going to have to deliver?
Have you seen him in any of his acting?
Game of Thrones. He was pretty. Khal Drogo was not a dude, bro.
No, I'll give you that. You know what my honest issue is, and it's going to sound so stupid?
He's too old.
He's too tall.
He's too tall.
You know, I don't disagree with that. I think that he's too tall, and he's Aquaman.
Right. That's the other thing. People won't look past the fact that he's Aquaman.
They also got
Wolverine is hundreds of years old. Age has nothing to do with it.
Well, it does if he looks old.
Robert Downey Jr. looks old. He's old. Robert Downey Jr. is in his 50s.
Yeah, but he's not ageless. He's not supposed to be. I mean, they're going to want.
And how old is Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, but look at it this way. If they're going to do this and they're going to do it right, they're going to want to start with them younger so they can use these same characters over the next 10 years.
No, I agree with that, but I mean, like, do we want a young Wolverine? I mean, Wolverine, even in his classic Wolverine, he looks like Clint Eastwood.
Well, yeah, but not too young, but not old enough that in 10 years they'll basically be doing Old Man Wolverine at that point, Old Man Logan.
I don't think it matters. I really don't, because the other thing is, look at how we got young. All the others, they have that technology. They can make anyone look 30, 40 years younger.
Yeah, look at Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that's it. Michael Douglas. Thank you.
True.
They did it to Michael Douglas.
And then look, you mean Captain Marvel. Look what they did with that.
Oh, yeah, with Sam Jackson. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot more scenage than just Michael Douglas. I mean, that was like the whole movie.
Yeah, right. That's so well done. I forgot that they did that. That was all CGI on Sam Jackson there. Yeah, it could be done.
It's hard to see it, but they did a good enough job where you're not constantly being reminded of the uncanny valley.
And it keeps getting better. Special effects always move forward. I think as long as it's a good actor, I'm good. And maybe, ironically, we just bring it up with Jason Mamoa. But, I mean, I don't know. I think he's Aquaman, and I think I'm good with him just being Aquaman.
Well, they could just have some younger guy play it with a buff body and deep fake it with Jason Momoa's face.
No, unless he's Tom Cruise height or shorter, I don't want him.
Is he still that short in the Marvel Universe, or did that get retconned to him being a normal heighted person?
I don't think anybody really cares. I mean,
I think you're probably right.
No, I think it does matter. I think it's an important part of his character from the comics because it's part of what gives him that attitude and that like I'm small but I'm fierce.
It's what you're saying. It's his Napoleon complex that drives his personality.
Kind of early, definitely early, like in the 80s for sure. That Wolverine, definitely. But I don't know if in the last decade plus they've really played up on that. Like I can't remember seeing any recent in the last 15 years, pictures of Wolverine where he actually looks short like he used to. Maybe I'm wrong.
According to Marvel, he's 5'3".
Oh, they never depict him as 5'3". Yeah. That's just writing. That's really short.
He wouldn't have come up to the Hulk's kneecap. I mean,
so there you go. So 5'5" or shorter.
All right. Well, and keeping that short and moving on.
Oh. All right, so we're going to talk about this. So E3 was also not this past weekend, the weekend before, and of course a lot of game trailers came out. The one we care about on this show had some weird controversy around it, and of course that's the Avengers game. And did you guys have a chance to watch the trailer?
I have no idea what people are mad about. I can't figure it.
Is it just because they don't look the same?
So the problem that a lot of people are having, and there's a lot of memes about this I've seen flying around the internet, where it's like, oh, when the stunt doubles come and blah, blah, because they don't look like the actors from the movies.
Like in Spaceballs.
And it's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, but these are based on comics before the movies came along. And, they didn't look like the characters, the actors who are playing them now in the comic books.
And you also got to pay for that if it's going to look like
exactly
Chris Hemsworth.
Right. And I kind of think, so you watch the trailer, obviously the uniforms that they're wearing, costumes, are reminiscent of the movies, but they're still different than the movies as well. Thor's costume doesn't look anything like Thor's costume from the movies.
I don't get but what does it all matter? I mean, it's a video game.
Well, Square Enix has even come back and said, despite the backlash, they're not going to change the character designs.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Yeah,
if you are so, and excuse my language, but if you're so butthurt that you are worried about the number of buttons on Captain America's costume in a video game,
no, it's not the buttons. It's the fact that he doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans. That's what they're complaining about.
Is it in continuity?
No, it's its own story. In fact, if you watch the trailer, it appears that Captain America gets killed in whatever that beginning fight is, because there's a statue to him later on in the trailer, and he's not anywhere to be seen in the trailer. So it's like, that didn't happen in the movies at all. This is a totally side story that has nothing to do with the movies. They just decided they liked the look of the uniforms from the movies. That was it.
Yeah, this is a non-issue. This is just bait. That's all it is.
John's right. This is the definition of butthurt.
I've listened to a couple podcasts so far who happen to be in the same network as us, and
no,
a couple of them have complained about the look.
Why? I don't understand.
We have better things to complain about.
And that's my whole thing. It's like, if you're a comic book fan, and it's a good story, who cares if it looks like the actors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it blew my mind. Yeah. So, and the last piece of Marvel news we have is, of course, the other big game trailer that came out was Jedi Fallen Order, and Marvel has announced there will be a prequel comic to go on with it. Did either of you catch anything about the game? I know neither of you are gamers, so this is like...
I'm a gamer, but I the number of games that come out these days, there's no way to check them all out. So, but this, the Jedi games have been good in the past. My brother has played a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, this takes place right after the Order 66. It's a Jedi who was, doesn't get caught, and he ends up going on a mission. And Forrest Whitaker's character from.
I can't think of the name.
Well, he's in the game, and he's voiced by Forrest Whitaker in the game.
Well, that's good, because it was such a memorable performance. Like, I remember the performance, but I can't remember the dang character's name. John, did you come up with it yet? I hear you typing.
Oh my God, Saw Gerrera?
That's it.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, he's trying to act like, oh my God, like he just thought of it. Like, oh, you couldn't think of it?
No. I had to look it up. I'm looking at Wikipedia.
All right.
Because I mean, I'm supposed to remember that when it was like, "Hi, I'm Saw Gerrera." Boom, I'm dead. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty accurate. They brought in Forrest Whitaker to kill him.
So,
pretty much. So now you get to see him expand. Now you get to see him expand upon the role.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, sure. We could see how he got crazy.
But I always wonder with tie-ins like this, like, is it going to matter at all if you read the comic before the game comes out?
Probably not.
No.
I mean, you probably get a decent story within the same world, but I mean, like, you can't have the video game rely on whether or not you read the comic, because that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's true, because there's a tie-in comic for between Infinity War and no, not Infinity War. What's the pre-Infinity War. Like, it's called The Road to Infinity War. And it's supposedly all this stuff that Tony Stark does to get ready because he knows something's coming. But the sad part is, like, nothing that he did in that comic really plays a part in the movies.
Cash grab.
Yeah. So. But hey, if you like Marvel Comics, you should check it out. All right. Let's move on to a couple of DC stories here. John, are you still watching Krypton?
The first episode just, what was it, last night, I think? Or, I mean, I think, yeah, there's one episode on my DVR. I have not, I saw the whole last season, so I know how it ends.
I thought it was a simple question. Yes or no? Are you still watching it? Yes.
I still, you know me, I like to complicate everything. Yes, I watched the whole thing. I think it's going off the rails. This is like Superman Secret Wars Krypton edition. None of this is going to be canon at the end because they're doing time travel and they're just going to wipe it all away anyway.
Well, of course, they're also introducing Lobo. That was the big thing.
This season. I saw the Lobo character. I didn't see the first episode yet, but I saw the trailer and I'm not impressed.
So, they talked about him coming up. There was all this talk about him coming and onto the show and whatnot. And then, of course, they aired the episode with him. And now they're already saying that there's talks to do a spin-off series for Lobo.
This isn't your daddy's Lobo. This is the Lobo that will offer you tea and crumpets.
What? Shouldn't this be Mamoa?
Mamoa apparently doesn't have enough of an Australian/English accent.
That's actually an excellent point, though. Like, someone like Mamoa should be playing Lobo.
Yeah, but the problem is that,
is it?
And I don't know. It just, the actors they're picking are just not what I would have thought.
Here's my thing. Okay, are we really in a world where if a network or a movie studio gets their hands on a property, they are so desperate to build a world around it of interconnected things that just after they introduce the character, now it's like, okay, he's going to get a spin-off series.
It's exactly what they did with Flash.
Yes, and it worked with Flash, but you can't keep doing it over and over again. Yes.
Oh.
Everyone wants the MCU money, but it's like.
But DC did it right though. They didn't suddenly have 5 different shows. They spun them out one at a time. They built them up, but they built up characters from those series before in the current series. They kind of did it. They kind of did it right.
Unlike they did in their movies.
Yes, exactly. They did
the quite opposite.
They did in the movies. But this Lobo thing, they were spinning off. CW has been spinning off characters that are big enough to handle their own series. The most iffy. The most iffy might have been Legends, but then again, that's a completely different show. It's mostly comedic and it works. And Batwoman, the actress they played for that has got mad skills. So I think it'll do well too. But this Lobo thing.
Well, what I'm saying is let it air and breathe and gauge fan reaction before you're start dumping money into a spin-off series for a character.
Yeah, the first episode, nobody's been introduced to his character yet, and they're already spinning it off.
Same time, you need content.
Yeah, and even that, it's SyFy. If this was HBO, they might have a chance. But there's no way you can do a Lobo show on a network that can't show eviscerations and blood and guts and just gore.
Well,
this is Lobo we're talking about. He rips people in half because it's Tuesday. It's, I don't know.
I like to sing Lobo show.
It's the Lobo show.
The Lobo show. Yo.
Oh, God. Yeah. What I'm saying is you're going to see a lot of violence against fake humans robots, and whatever they can get away with that doesn't fit whatever censorship board is definition of blood and guts and humans in pain or whatever.
Human evisceration.
Yeah. Well, human hurting, whatever. It's just it's not gonna be Lobo. He'll be a kinder, gentler Lobo with an English accent.
Well, that's good. You like kinder, gentler Lobos.
Brit Lobo is a weird thing. I'll give you that. That's weird.
Brit Lobo. Yeah, you expect Lobo to have the same gravelly, low accent, or just even his mode of speech should be like just littered with invectives. He should be the same as Wolverine.
You know who nailed Lobo was when they had Brad Garrett do it on Superman and Justice League, the cartoons from the 90s?
Yes.
He was awesome as Lobo.
Yep.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
So, all right. Well, speaking of characters who've never been on a team, they're going to resurrect Justice Society of America in the DC Comics.
Yay!
Well, this is.
Go ahead.
This is kind of part of the Doomsday Clock thing, right?
Yeah, the Justice Doom Wars.
Doomsday Clock number 8. That was when Lois Lane got the information on a USB drive that, look, the Justice Society of America actually existed and nobody remembers them.
But that's the whole thing,
So it's about time that they're bringing them back.
I guess. I know, and Snyder's writing the story and the one bringing them back, but it just feels like, to me, it feels like they never went away.
Well, no, they did, but the thing was that Dr. Manhattan got rid of them. He, erased them.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No, they've been gone for the better part of a decade.
Yeah? It's been that long?
They were erased with the New 52 in 2011.
Has it been that long, really?
It has been that long.
Oh, wow.
And I love that Jeff Johns book. That's my favorite Jeff Johns book, is those JSAs. Those are great characters. And I think the DCU is a worse, or DCU? Yeah, whatever we're calling it now. Is a worse place without them.
Yes.
So I'm happy about this.
You need a Green Lantern with a weakness to wood.
You need a Jay Garrick.
Yes. Yep.
Those are and you need different versions.
Man. Black Cat.
I love the idea of mystery men who fought World War II. That's the era they were created in. I think that every time DC tries to reset and push back when superheroes became a thing, you lose a little bit of the charm that made them cool to begin with.
Right. No, and I get that. And it goes back with the problem of superheroes live forever, right?
True.
But yeah, no, the idea of... the problem is, I feel like DC can get away with keeping their continuity. I know they don't really have a continuity, but more than Marvel can, because it's always been the same characters in the costumes at Marvel. Whereas in DC, it's you've had multiple Green Lanterns, you've had multiple Flashes, you have characters that were around in World War II just aren't around anymore. So, you can easily just say, oh yeah, that was back when the Justice Society was around. But they don't, they don't do that. They keep trying to reset their continuity, and it's nah, you don't need to do that.
That's actually explained in Doomsday Clock, too. That the continuity, was it Universe 1 or whatever, keeps resetting its timeline. And Dr. Manhattan has noticed that. So It looks like they may even try to explain why Superman was first seen in 1938, and then suddenly he was first seen in 1956, and so on and so forth.
Should I be reading Doomsday Clock?
I think you should.
It comes out so infrequently.
I know, they're only up to I think number 11 came out or is coming out.
You want
something
comics
like that.
come out on a regular basis?
Look,
I know.
look.
What a crazy concept.
Hey, look, I'm following it, and it's been a while since I've collected comics, so, you know, I'm
by the Watchmen characters?
Yes. Well, at least Dr. Manhattan. They're treating it very, very gently, and I think they're doing it justice. So,
I'm now, as long as I got you here, is Watchmen part of the New 52? Is Watchmen a New 52 Earth?
No, they're not. This is basically Dr. Manhattan found universe, the Prime Universe, and is trying to figure out what makes it tick, and is also trying to figure out why you know how he sees his entire life right at the same time. He doesn't really move back and forward in time. He just knows what his entire timeline is, and I think the story goes that the last thing he sees is Superman, and he's trying to figure out why.
Sold to Comixology.
Darn it! Now I might have to read it. See what you do, John.
The hardcover of issues 1 through 6 is going to be out in October, I think. If you want to wait for that, otherwise, yeah, Comixology.
Well, then that's something for me to maybe pick up at New York Comic Con.
True.
All right. Well, speaking of things that you like, John, and you like, JD,
ice cream.
Tom King is going to be writing a Batman Catwoman miniseries, and it will feature Phantasm from the Mask of the Phantasm from the Batman the Animated Series.
Is it going to be Andrea Beaumont?
They haven't said who is under the mask yet.
It says she awaits you. So
right, they've confirmed it's a woman, but they haven't confirmed who's under the mask yet.
It has to be Andrea Beaumont. That's the whole point of the Phantasm. That whole Mask of the Phantasm. I don't know if some of our listeners understand this or are still listening at this point, because we're an hour and 25 minutes into it. But Mask of the Phantasm was probably one of the best animated movies of all time.
Some would argue the best Batman movie of all time. I don't know if I make that argument, but I've heard that argument made.
Yes, I've heard that argument too, and I would agree with it. It is one of the best Batman. I think it is the best Batman movie of all time. And yeah, I mean, it was a Bruce Timm era movie, and I don't know. You should check it out if you can. But if they bring this back, they're going to have to make it Andrea Beaumont, right? I would think.
I mean, it's the first time they're introducing her into the comic book continuity, so they can do whatever they want.
She's been around for 25 years, and they've never brought her in. That's weird.
Yeah, considering that like Harley Quinn and a whole bunch of other characters were brought in all from that. All from Bruce Timm and his team.
Yep. And
one could argue Bruce Timm is the greatest DC creator ever. I would argue that, actually.
One of the best, at least. Without a doubt, one of the best.
Yeah, we can go with that. So it sounds like you guys are up for that. You're definitely going to check out that miniseries?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to. Hey, I got something for you guys. I don't know if you checked out my Facebook page, but you guys grew up in the 70s, right? So were you fans of the Banana Splits?
Oh my God, no.
So you do know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
most people don't realize that was a horror show.
No, but I mean
that was back with Sigmund the Sea Monster and the Space Nuts and oh my God.
That's because we had nothing else. We had nothing else to watch, but it's like they want to take that Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever it's called, and build off of that success by turning the Banana Splits into a horror movie. It was like, really?
But I mean, the original TV show was a horror show.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was scary at that age.
1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4.
I didn't grow up with this, so I mean, like, I have no attachment to it. And the trailer, I was just like, I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. Like, I didn't know this was going to be a thing, and I'm watching this trailer, and I'm like, wait, what? What? No.
No. Yep. It's like, yeah. No. Buckets of nope. Just no.
It seems like they mixed it with like Westworld.
In a way, yes, because they're animatronic or robots, and so there's a question. Who is this for? If you grew up in the time frame that John and I did, and you grew up with watching the Banana Splits, does this appeal to you, or do you were like, oh, this is going to ruin my childhood? Or
ruin your childhood. Just that's the answer. Right
or are you like John, and it was a horror story to you when you were a kid, so that's no different? Yeah, let us know. That's a good question. So you think it looks cool? I'm assuming, JD.
I don't know what to think about it because like I'm attached to a lot of the stuff from my childhood. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, what a genius concept. I got really excited about it. But then I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, if that was like the Care Bears and it was the actual Care Bears, I might be a little perturbed. But it was not my childhood, so I don't like. I like horror movies, so I mean, like, I might catch it at some point, but I'm not going to rush out to get it. But I don't know. Like you said, what's the audience for this? I have no idea. People from the 70s,
the same audience as X Factor or whatever that was. What was the one that became a horror flick or whatever?
Oh, New Mutants.
New Mutants, yeah.
That movie that's a mythical movie. It's not real.
It might be.
It's never going to happen. I'm convinced they have production stills and shot enough for a sizzle reel, and that's it.
It might be. We will never know. Yeah.
We've been talking about that show for 2 years, or that movie for 2 years.
I know. And it does not appear that it will ever be released.
I don't know. Put a thing on there. Put like a poll or something. I'm curious to know what people who listen to our show think about this.
Oh God, the Banana Split. I've got the trailer playing in the background now. It is Five Nights at Freddy's. They must have just decided, you know what, we don't want to pay the Five Nights at Freddy's guys, so we'll just use the Banana Splits.
So we'll pay the Sid and Marty Krofft estate.
Yeah, we'll pick it up for cheap.
Yeah, I mean, so there's questions for our audience. And are you going to go read the Batman Catwoman miniseries to check out Phantasm if you grew up with Batman the Animated Series? And you know what? I think good way to end this episode, speaking of Mask of the Phantasm, is to give you guys a little interview with the star of that movie. What do you think,
Batman?
Yes! The one and only Kevin Conroy. So we got to talk to him at Wizard World Philly this weekend. And it's a short interview because, they don't have a press room where they take us in the back and do a press junket. It's kind of just go up to the table.
We were being stared down by his agent, a line of fans waiting for his autograph, and Jerry himself, because he watches over all the interviews. Yes. So we were told to keep it short.
Right.
And we kept it as short as we could, basically.
But being short, this is possibly one of the best interviews.
We did do very well. I mean, the answers we got were awesome.
This might be one of the best interviews we have ever had on this show. That's JD included. Sorry, JD.
I'm good with that. You guys get these things.
All right. So, of course, we all know him as the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series and various video games and other properties. And we don't need to go on about him. So, without further ado, here is Kevin Conroy. You're familiar with one of these?
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. So, John and Dave here, Superhero Speak, Wizard World 2019 with Kevin Conroy.
Hey,
yes.
How you doing?
Yeah, that Kevin Conroy. So, a quick question. When you were at Juilliard and you were rooming with Robin Williams and Kelsey Grammer, did you think this is where you'd end up?
Well, first of all, Robin was my roommate for 2 years. Kelsey and I never roomed together.
Really?
We were classmates.
Oh, all right.
So we studied together for 2 or 3 years. I don't remember how long, but we never actually lived together. But we were drinking buddies, and so we spent a lot of time together. But no, I had no idea this was going to happen. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I had no idea this is where I was going to be. I thought I was going to be doing Shakespeare in regional theater somewhere, which is what I did for a while.
Right.
And then I ended up playing Batman, who was the most Shakespearean of all the superheroes when you think about it. He's like Orestes. He's Achilles. He's such an epic quality to him. So you are, for a lot of people, the voice of Batman.
Yeah.
For anyone who's watched the animated series, who's played the video games, anyone will tell you, when you read the comics, you're the voice that people hear. You're the most well-known actor, I think, who's ever played the role, yet you've never worn the cowl.
Yeah.
Were you ever tempted to wear the cowl in the recording booth?
No, I didn't cross that line. The only time I ever did, actually, I did actually wear the costume once. I used to do a lot of volunteer work with foster kids who live in a facility in California, and they found out what my job was, and they thought it was so cool that Batman used to come on weekends and take them out to Disney World and stuff. So they were having a Halloween event, and they asked me to wear my work clothes to Halloween. I said, "What do you mean my work clothes?" He said, the cape, the cowl. I said, "Those aren't my work clothes. Don't you get it? I'm the voice." So I went to a Hollywood costume shop, and I actually bought a costume.
Wow.
And I wore it to them, and they went crazy when I arrived in my car and got out of the car in that outfit. It's the only time I've worn it.
All right, so we don't have a lot of time with you. You've got a lot of people waiting to meet you. So the question we normally like to wrap up on, and this is something I definitely want to hear from you. How do you measure success?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. How do you measure success? I think by the mark you leave on the world after you're gone. That's how you measure success. You want to leave the world a better place.
Right.
And whether it's by a healthy child or a beautiful garden. And I get really moved on mornings like this morning where a woman came up and just started crying.
Really?
She wanted to hold me because she had such a horrible childhood. And the safest place she had was the Batman shows in the afternoons. That was her safe zone. And Batman was her protector. And she said, "You got me out of that house. You saved me." And of course I didn't.
Right.
But the character did. But my voice helped in that. And any compassion that I gave through my performance helped that child. And that just sends chills down my spine to think that you can affect a life that profoundly.
Right.
And I hear that a lot when I come to Comic-Cons. This is the only time I get to interact with the audience. When you're a voice actor,
right,
you never get that interaction. Yeah. And the stories I hear of the difficult childhoods that a lot of people have had and how Batman was the safe zone. It's amazing. So that, I think, is the most successful aspect of my career at this point.
I think that's the best answer we've ever heard on that question, too.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Yes. I think the way he measures success is the way we all should try to measure success. Though we aren't all Batman, so I don't think it'll work. All right. So, I think that's a good place to put a pin in it for this week, unless you guys have something else you want to add.
I think they should redo Land of the Lost as a horror flick.
Oh,
that would work.
They did. It was Jurassic Park.
That's not. I didn't see any slee stacks, dude. That's not.
And they did redo Land of the Lost with what's his face?
As a horror movie. Well, that doesn't exist.
It was pretty horrific.
Yeah, yes. That's true.
Will Ferrell. That's it. Will Ferrell.
Ironically horrific.
Oh, come on. All right. What movie do you think they should remake as a horror movie, JD, or TV show?
Ooh. Muppet Babies. I don't know. It's the first thing that came to
Oh
mind.
my God.
No, that's horrible. That's a horrible idea. It's like terrible. That ruins my
I like it. I like it.
Did you ever see the Muppet Babies on what's the show on Cartoon Network with the
Robot Chicken?
Yeah, Robot Chicken. Did you ever see
I have not. I'm gonna have to Google this.
Oh, you have to watch it. Yes. All right. Yeah, if you want to see it done as kind of a horror movie, Muppet Babies, you should check it. Google Robot Chicken Muppet Babies.
Doing it right now.
Everyone needs to watch that. Let's see. I'm going to say HR Puffin Stuff.
That's the same thing.
It is. It goes right along with the banana splits.
You could have gone with Electra Woman and Dyna Girl. That would have worked.
Oh, that would have worked. Yeah. All right. Well, I think
yeah, that's good.
That's good. We'll put a pin in it.
We've bled this stone.
Yes. All right. On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape caught in the door. Have a good week.